Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Neos test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck makes some really insane boards and some of the most powerful fusion monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And form Elemental Hero Nebula Neos, which is just an absolutely insane card. I'm really excited to show you guys this deck because it's really amazing to be able to play a deck focused around being able to summon Elemental Hero Neos and its counterpart fusion monsters, which is really cool to be able to play an ace card like this because this card kind of falls in the same categories like Dark Magician, Stardust Dragon, and Utopia. They're just cool ace monsters of the main characters of a series, and this one's actually Jade and Yuki. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this deck is really cool. I really think that there's some really amazing one card combos in this deck that if you draw something into like a Vision Hero Vion, which we don't draw into it, I will show you guys that sometime during the video, which is a really amazing combo to be able to get out some really cool actual hero fusion monsters, because this deck isn't just solely a Neos fusion deck. It actually plays a couple of like hero monsters in here. I just play like one copy of Shadow Mist, one copy of Liquid Man, and a single copy or two copies of Vion, which is really amazing to be able to actually incorporate some of those monsters into the deck as well. So definitely, if you want to check out the deck profile, it is down in the description below as well, which is a really interesting deck to be able to check out because it's one of the more interesting versions of Neospatian that I built, because it actually is a lot like the previous builds were really consistent, but this one's like really consistent, and I have some live duels of it coming out soon as well, so definitely be on the lookout for those. And you guys might have noticed it is a 41 card build, and like I said, you can check out the deck profile down in the description below. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck up and see what we can do, because it has some access to like Neospatian Connector and stuff like that, which are insanely powerful cards. But let's go ahead and see what we can do for the first test hand. So we're going to draw into a copy of Miracle Contact, which is always good, a copy of Next, a copy of Neospatian Connector right there, Grand Mole, and a copy of Mind Control. So you might be wondering why we play the Mind Control. Well, I actually focus around going second in this build because if you take the copy of Mind Control and say they Infinite Impermanence your copy of Connector, you can still link someone into an Anaconda and then go for a copy of Rainbow Neos to then tribute the Anaconda to go and to shuffle back their entire monster board back into the deck. So you have some stuff like that and Dark Ruler No More to deal with your opponent's board, and you have Grand Mole that you can just normal summon depending on the board that they have to be able to balance a monster if need be. So you have pretty good plays in the deck. So let's go ahead and show you the basic play of the deck. So the basic play of the deck is going to be normal summon Neospatian Connector, and once you normal summon that copy of Neospatian Connector, you're going to special summon from your deck either a copy of a Neospatian or an Elemental Hero Neos. You always want to summon out your Aqua Dolphin, which is basic combo for any deck that plays Neospatian Connector, because it's going to let you rip your opponent for one card, which is really going to help out the deck a lot. So I usually summon Aqua Dolphin, and then Aqua Dolphin will let me discard a card and then randomly look at my opponent's hand, which you could discard something like Grand Mole because you have Next to be able to revive it back if need be, and your copy of Miracle Contact can help you go into something later on as well. Now, at this point, you could go ahead and rip a card out of your opponent's hand, look at their opponent's hand by discarding that card, and if you do, they have a hand trap, you can basically rip the hand trap and inflict 500 points of damage to them, which is going to be helpful. Otherwise, you take 500, which is not going to be that big of a deal, and then you can immediately link these two away, and once you link those two away, you're going to summon out something like a copy of Anaconda. Now, we're not going to go for Dragoons because you don't play Dragoons in this build. You could easily do it if you wanted to, but I didn't want to play too many bricks in here, and plus, I wanted to focus more on Neos monsters instead. So at this point, you're going to go ahead and send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of Neos, a copy of Neos Fusion, and a copy of Rainbow Dragon, which is going to help you out a lot in the long run because you're going to get to summon your copy of Rainbow Neos, because it's going to have protection on it for one destruction of battle or by card effect, or if it tries to shuffle itself back into the deck if you're summoning one of the other Neos monsters. So you can go into some really neat plays. You don't have to go for Rainbow Neos. The optimal play going first, however, would be to go for Brave Neos, which you just wouldn't use the copy of Rainbow Dragon. However, if you want to go for the copy of Rainbow Neos, all you'd have to do is send these to the graveyard to get your basic combo if you're going second. However, if you're going first, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to use the copy of Rainbow Neos. We're going to use a copy of Dark Panther because we already have in the graveyard a copy of our Grand Mole. And you have a copy of our Aqua Dolphin as well, so you're trying to get those to the graveyard for your copy of Next and your copy of Miracle Contact to be able to go into some additional plays later. So we're going to go ahead and use these three together, and we're going to go ahead and summon out a copy of our Brave Neos. Once you summon Brave Neos is just going to help you out a little bit to be able to give you more advantage in the game, because it's going to boost itself up by the attack of the monster. So you're going to get it, or not by the attack of the monster, but the amount of elemental hero Neos and Neospations in the graveyard, which is, or monsters that list Neos in its text, which is going to help you out a little bit. Any hero monsters and any Neospations. So we actually have 4 that count towards it. So you have 400 extra attack at 2900. And the reason I summon this over the copy of Rainbow Neos, even though the Rainbow Neos is a little bit bigger, I would rather have the monsters in graveyard later for a Miracle Contact to then go into a copy of Nebula Neos, because now I have the materials in the graveyard to then Miracle Fuse with the Miracle Contact into a copy of Nebula Neos during my opponent's turn, because I have the copy of Dark Panther, the copy of Grand Mole, and I have the copy of Neos already lined up to go into my copy of Nebula Neos during the next turn, which is going to help me out a lot as well. And if my opponent gets rid of the Anaconda, which you do leave yourself a little bit open, you can go into another one with your copy of Mind Control and then another monster that you have if you draw into a normal summon, which we'd have to shuffle the deck just to see. If you draw into any normal summon, you would be able to get it. Like, for example, a copy of Shadow Mist would get you there, which would be totally fine. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand. Like I said, it would just be safe to summon out the copy of Brave Neos. Yes, it doesn't really protect itself, but none of the other monsters in the extra deck really do. That's the only real downside to this deck, is a lot of your stuff actually doesn't protect itself. So let's go ahead and talk about one of the really good combos. Before we go too deep in the test hands, let's go ahead and talk about the Vion combo. So there actually is a really neat hero combo that you can play in this deck. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a copy of Vion to my hand to show you guys a really neat combo. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Next, Hummingbird, Neospatian Connector, and a Shadow Mist. So that's totally fine. You don't have to play, let's say you don't draw into the Shadow Mist. Let's say you draw into any other card just to show you this combo. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a Dark Panther. That makes it a little bit easier to explain the combo so you can go full combo with this particular play. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon the copy of Vion. And once we normal summon that copy of Vion, we're going to send from the deck to the graveyard that copy of Shadow Mist. So once we send the Shadow Mist from deck to graveyard, the Shadow Mist will go off and let us add from our deck to our hand a copy of Liquid Soldier. So the Liquid Soldier, once it hits your hand, it's going to be able to use the effect of that Vion. So once you use the copy of Vion's effect, you're going to banish the copy of Shadow Mist from the graveyard, and then add from your deck to your hand a copy of Polymerization. So now we've set up and we have an additional fusion play where we have the copy of Polymerization. So we're going to go ahead and use the Polymerization with our copy of our Vision Hero and our copy of Liquid Soldier, because they're different attributes. And we're going to go ahead and summon out from the extra deck a copy of our Sunriser. Now, the interesting thing is, I will mention you guys, if you had another hero in your hand, you could go for Trinity if you feel like you could OTK your opponent, which is why I play it in here. If you drew into literally an elemental hero Neos, you could go into that play into the Trinity, which is why I play it in the extra deck to OTK. So now that your copy of Sunriser has been summoned to your field, you can then search the deck for a copy of Miracle Fusion. Now that you search your copy of Miracle Fusion, I haven't forgotten about that Liquid Soldier, because it's if it's banished or if it is sent to the graveyard. So I'm not going to use its effect the first time, I'm going to use it the second time. So now I'm going to use Miracle Fusion, and I'm going to banish a copy of a Vision Hero Vion and a copy of my Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier. And then I'm going to fusion summon into a copy of, where is it? Where's my solid? There's my Absolute Zero right there. We're going to go ahead and fusion into that copy of Ab Zero. And that gets you basically a really good setup first turn board, because the Absolute Zero is basically going to be here to board wipe your opponent. And then if a hero monster battles, then you get to pop something as well. So you have a little bit of advantage. Now the copy of Vision Hero, or not the Vision Hero, but the copy of Liquid Soldier will go off. And if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished, then you get to draw 2 and discard 1 for a fusion play. So we're going to go ahead and draw 2. And then we discard a card. So we can discard any card that we want to. So we're going to go ahead and discard the Dark Panther just to get it out of our hand, to get it to the graveyard, which is going to help us out in the long run of things, because then we can go into Miracle Contact later if we normal summon out the copy of the Conductor to be able to get our Nebula Neos out later. So that's a basic combo for the deck to be able to go into some really, really neat plays to be able to just pop off. So let's go ahead and do another test hand. That's how you basically get out the 2 hero monsters. I thought that was kind of neat. To be able to get both of those out on your field so easily in the deck like this, and get you a really neat combo that can get both of those monsters out, because then you can just board wipe and go into your Nebula Neos during the next turn. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next play. And I will say this deck does a little bit better in the grind game, which you guys will see in the live duel, which is really fun. Like, this deck is really, really good to be able to play around with. and is really fun to be able to just kind of pop off with and summon out some of the cool like Neos hero fusion. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another one. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Grand Mole. This card loves me. A copy of Miracle Contact, another Miracle Contact, Miracle Fusion, and a copy of Connector. We draw a Connector every single game. It's so great. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon out the Connector. Once you summon out the Connector, you can do something really simple. If you're going second, you can summon out something like a copy of Panther, which is going to help you out a lot. So I'm going to show you guys like you're going second. We're going to summon out the copy of Panther, and I'm just going to say, like, let's just say this, we didn't draw this, and we didn't normal summon this yet. Let's say we were going second. If we were going second and we drew for turn, we draw into a Neos Fusion, which I still would go for the play that I was going for, where I would normal summon the Connector, and then I would start popping off from there to be able to go into a Nebula Neos. So we're going to go ahead and summon out the Dark Panther, and we're going to say our opponent has 3 monsters with no negate on the board. It doesn't matter, just 3 monsters on the board. And let's say that they also have 2 back row. 2 back row, and they're not activating them because they're Twin Twister and let's say Miracle Cyclone, or not a Miracle Cyclone, a Cosmic Cyclone. They're doing a lot of back row hate. Let's just say that. So we're going to go ahead and use these 2 monsters. And at this point, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and link summon these 2 away and be able to get into some really neat plays, or you can use the copy of your Connector and just be able to link it away if you want to. That's probably what I would do. I would just go ahead and link these 2 away, not worry about the hand rip or anything, and go into a copy of our, right here, Anaconda. Now, Anaconda is going to be able to use its effect to be able to send from your deck to the graveyard. This is why this deck goes so good going second, which is what I wanted to show you guys for this. We're going to go ahead and send the copy of Rainbow Neos, Rainbow Dragon, and our copy of Elemental Hero Neos from the deck to the graveyard. Once you do, you're going to summon out the copy of Rainbow Neos to your side of the field. And once you do that, you're just going to be able to use its effect to be able to tribute the Anaconda to shuffle those monsters that your opponent has off the field and into the deck, and then be able to attack him for 45, which is the main play of this particular deck to be able to go into, which is what I usually do in the deck going first, and that's the big play of this build. Like you're trying to summon Rainbow Neos with Anaconda with a 2-card combo, or go into that hero play, which is also very good. So let's go ahead and go into the next one. Now you have a lot of cards in your hand that you might be looking at and going, oh, well, I didn't optimally use those. Well, let's say your opponent board wipes you. Let's just go for that. Your opponent totally board wipes you, and they summon 3 more monsters to their field. We're going to go ahead and draw for turn, and we're going to draw into a Neospatian Connector. Okay, well, now I can use my copy of my Miracle Contact on my field, and since I have in my hand a copy of Grand Mole, it says you can use from the hand, field, or graveyard. I have Grand Mole, I have my copy of my Neos, and I have my Dark Panther. I can then use all 3 of these, shuffle them back into the deck, and then once I shuffle all these back into the deck, I can then summon to my side of the field a copy of Nebula Neos, and the Nebula Neos will go off, and I draw cards equal to the number of cards my opponent controls and negate the effects of 1 face-up card. So I don't really care what I have face-up. I'm just going to go ahead and draw my 3. So I'm going to draw and do 3 really good cards right here. I get a negate, and then I can just normal summon out. I can normal summon out the Connector at this point if I want to normal summon the Connector, and then I can use the Connector's effect to be able to link summon again if I want to, or get another material that I particularly need out of the deck to go in for another play. Like I could go in for a copy of Elemental Hero Neos if I want to summon out the copy of Neos, and then I could use the copy of Neos Fusion on my side of the field, or I could wait and not use that and use a different card. I could summon out a copy of, say, for example, Hummingbird. If I summon out the Hummingbird, it's going to let me go into an Air Neos later on, which is going to help me out in the long run of things. It kind of depends on what you feel like you need in a particular situation. Now, you also have the Dark Ruler No More, which if you're going second, comes in a little bit more handy and gets you more plays, which is also very helpful. But the Nebula Neos you want to be a little bit careful with because it has the ability that once per turn during the end phase, you shuffle this card into the deck, extra deck, and if you do, you banish all cards on the field face down. So whatever you summon is going to go away, which is a little bit unfortunate. So you kind of got to watch out what you do with this particular hand. Now you can link summon here if you want to link summon here and summon out a copy of the Anaconda to your field, which is going to get you another play, or instead of summoning the Anaconda, you can actually summon a Zol to get you a search, which is going to help you out even more to get you a copy of your Neos to your hand, because you can just add that Neos from deck to hand. You don't play any equip spells, but you can still grab the Neos to be able to then fusion summon during the next turn with the Poly in hand to go into a Brave Neos to be able to pop off with more plays. It kind of depends on the situation and what your opponent has against you, what you're going to do. So it kind of totally comes down to you, because then during end phase, this can banish itself and banish all cards on the field face down. This returns itself, and then you banish everything face down, which is a little bit unfortunate. It does leave you a little wide open. But you can also use the effect of your Neos Fusion to make it so you don't shuffle the card back, which is also really nice. But as you can see, for the next turn, you have a lot of setup plays. You can go here, go into a copy of Brave Neos into your next play, which is really helpful, just to be able to throw out an additional copy of Brave Neos. And once those two go to the graveyard, because you did Fusion Summon with that, you didn't Contact Fuse, you then can use your copy of Miracle Contact, and then you can shuffle back your copy of Air Hummingbird and your copy of your Neos into the deck. Now, it depends on what you have as well. If you don't have the Air Neos, it doesn't super end like the game if you don't have it. Like, you can still play the deck without it, because I know this card is really expensive, but it is an option for you guys if you can play it to play it. So you have that play right there as well. Now, those two monsters will go back into the deck once you do Fusion Summon into them. And then if you want to go for a copy of Miracle Fusion, you can go for the Miracle Fusion as well, because you have a water monster and you have a hero monster in the graveyard. Well, you don't have the hero monster anymore. That's unfortunate. But you could later on, if your Elemental Hero Brave Neos goes to the graveyard, you could then go for that play as well. And you have the copy of Dark Ruler Armor to be able to negate monster effects. So you have a lot of different like card advantage plays in this deck that you can pop off with. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one more test hand before we end, because like I just showed you guys, this deck has a lot of potential and a lot of really good plays, especially to out your opponent's boards, especially with that Vion combo. You get some really neat plays in the deck. Now, you do kind of need to play the Liquid Soldier, which is currently a little bit expensive, unfortunately, to do that combo, but it is an option for you guys if you want to. You can change it out if you want to just not draw the additional cards. You can change it out for like a Bubble Man if you want to, which would get you away with the play if you want to do something like that. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. So we're going to go ahead and draw, and we're going to draw into a Neos Fusion. We're already fine. A copy of Miracle Contact, Polymerization, Fusion Deployment, and a copy of Vion. So with this hand, we're going to do the normal thing. We're going to go ahead and normal summon that copy of Vion. The Vion's going to send our copy of Shadow Mist from the deck to the graveyard, which is right. We're going to search that copy of Liquid Soldier so we don't have to search again. We're going to go ahead and send that copy of our Shadow Mist to the graveyard, add that copy of our Liquid Soldier to our hand. And then since we've already got the Polymerization in the hand, you don't have to do anything else. You can just immediately Fusion Summon. And once you Fusion Summon, you can go ahead and Special Summon from the extra deck a copy of your Sunriser, which is going to go right here. And then your Sunriser will search your copy of Miracle Fusion and grab that directly from your deck to your hand, which is right here. And then once you grab that on your side of the field, you can also use your copy of Miracle Fusion right here, and then banish your copy of your Vion and your copy of your Liquid Soldier, which can be Bubble Man. You won't get to draw two, but you do get to do it. So we're going to draw two off the top of the deck, and we're going to go ahead and send to the graveyard our copy of our Dark Panther. Once you send the Dark Panther from your hand to the graveyard, you still have some plays. You can't normal summon because you already normal summoned for the turn, but don't forget about using your copy of, or summoning out your copy of your Absolute Zero, which will summon itself to your side of the field. And then if you want to go for some style points, you can Fusion Deployment against your opponent and throw out a Neos, which will get you even more plays. And you're already going to Miracle Contact during the next turn, but so you can use your copy of your Neos Fusion later, you can go ahead and use the copy of your Miracle Contact or your Fusion Deployment now. So you have even more plays there. So you've already got all three of these really cool monsters on your side of the field. And then during next turn, you've already set up for a Neospatial Connector, which is going to get you into a copy of Anaconda. And you have the copy of your Miracle Contact and Neos Fusion to get you 3 plays in your hand that are already lined up. So you have even more advantage here, which is really nice. It just gets you more cards. This, your opponent's going to have to deal with, and it's going to pop the field of their monsters. The Neos is 2,500, and then your copy of Sunriser is boosting itself up. And if a hero monster battles, then you get to, or if a hero monster declares an attack, then you get to target one card on the field and destroy it. So you have a lot of advantage just with this particular field, which is really cool. So I think that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. The deck is really fun to play with, as you guys can see. It's really amazing that you can play something like Neos and be able to pop off like that in a deck like this. And it's really amazing all the different plays that this deck actually has, which is really cool because you can even summon stuff like Dark Neos. You can summon out stuff like literally any of the Neos Fusion. If you like any of the Neos Fusions and you didn't see me summon it, Connector literally gets you into any Neos Fusion, which is really cool if you have Miracle Contact and you have a copy of Neos. So it's really easy to pop off. Like if you open up a copy of Neospatial Connector and a Fusion deployment, you pretty much have game where you're going to be able to pop into any of your Neos Fusions. So if there's one you like over like Dark Neos or Air Neos, you can change out some of your Neospatians in the deck to be able to play those, to be able to go into your favorite one, which is really cool. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.